My name is Rennie and I'm the proprietor and manager of Puddle Ducks Day Nursery, which is a children's day nursery in a village called Raglan. I left school when I was 16 and I was really looking for a career in childcare. So I went to college for 2 years and completed my NNEB, which is my nursery nursing training. After that, I then pursued many jobs within childcare, from nannying to working with Bernardos. I did some respite care. I ran some play schemes in the summertime. And then I went into education and worked in primary schools, and constantly found it very difficult to find a challenging job. Was unhappy, always felt that there was more that I could put forward and lots of ideas, but felt that there was no area within my jobs that I had that I could do that. My mum was diagnosed with breast cancer, and she at the time was looking after my children, because I had children of my own, and I had to go out and look for childcare for my children. I found this very difficult, to find the childcare that I was happy with, to find quality childcare and childcare that I didn't have to travel too far within my local area. I was very scared, but very, very excited, it was a very emotional time for me to actually think about giving up my job and going self-employed. Obviously I had a family of my own to look after, but really was enthusiastic and thought that I could put my energy into something. I'm going to make this work. I'm really going to make this work. But to start up the business was basically a big desire for me to do something completely on my own, to show that I could use all my ideas to actually structure into something, and I knew I had these qualities for doing certain things, but I didn't have any main exam qualities for nothing in business, nothing in computering, and nothing in leadership. And those sort of qualities, but I had loads of care and qualities in confidence. I'm a people person, I love talking to people, so I thought, well, you know, if I've got 200 parents to speak to, I'm sure that's no problem. And having 70-odd children around me was basically what I've always wanted to do. One of the main difficulties at the early days of my business was I had to remortgage my house. This meant that if anything went wrong with the work or the business itself, then I would lose my house, and that was at the back of my mind all the time. My husband was very supportive and did a lot of building work here and a lot of the structural work, but this meant that his business was suffering from this, and it made that our family had financial difficulties throughout the first few years of our business. This caused a lot of problems. We had to really think about the things that we were buying every day. One of my main difficulties was staffing it, and after losing my general manager, it meant that I had to take on a lot more responsibilities. Also, it's very difficult that 50% of my staff here are family. And when it comes to appraisals and issues where I have to talk one-to-one with staff, there were difficult times, especially when it was a personal issue with my sister, when I had to actually speak about her uniform and being tidy. This makes things quite difficult. I think you have to set on a level where you have to make sure you take off your family hat and put on your business hat and make sure that you have full leadership. The main problems of starting up the business, I think, was actually trying to get people in, because when you're dealing with childcare, you can put out loads of leaflets, you can make posters, and you can go out and promote yourself as a business. But I think people want word of mouth, and until people actually came in to see the service that we provided, it wasn't until other children then came in. They went off and told their cousins or their friends or their families or the next neighbours, and then more children came in. So the difficulty was, with the fact that we are registered by care standards, we had to have so many staff here on the premises before we had the children, because of the ratios that we do here. So with our babies, we had to have 1 to 3 staff for every baby that we had here. So I was then paying staff to be here without children initially, so the first few months were difficult. I had 6 staff here and sometimes only 3 or 4 children, and it was a real battle to get out there and get more children in. I think as a business person, my strength I brought into the business obviously was the fact that I was a people person and I was caring, confident. I don't sit still, I'm always outgoing, you know, very energetic, those sort of areas. And I think since I've been here, my strength have grown in the fact that I've obviously I've got leadership skills, more management skills, done a lot more in planning and paperwork side, which I hadn't done before. I think they're really important. Hopefully, I'm loving and caring with the children, and hopefully, you know, I've got a sense of humour and I can, you know, come in every day and just keep going, really. I think that's really important. I think one of my weaknesses is really the fact that I find it very hard taking criticism. I think my advice would be definitely go for it. Live life for today. You know, just go for it. If you've got any ideas, anything, just get out there and make it work, make it happen, make your dreams come true. And if you've got anything in relationships, if you've got any people skills, if you're good at organising, and you've got any creative ideas, and just have the attitude to go and do for it. Go for it. That's what I say. I love running my own business. It's brilliant being the boss and having time to reflect and look back on all those last few years that I've done and the things that I've achieved.